Can the movie that put Zack Snyder on the map keep him on it? You're watching Beyond the Trailers review of 300: Rise of an Empire.
Today we will dance across the backs of dead Greeks.
You're no god. You're just a man.
Choose your glory!
I know, Dawn of the Dead was Snyder's debut film, where zombies were running rings around the living long before World War Z, and it's what put him on Hollywood's radar. But the movie that made him a household name was 300, a film which cost just $65 million to make and grossed $450 million worldwide. Warner Brothers was so thrilled, Snyder has stayed with the studio ever since, despite an immediate backslide at the box office. Watchmen pulled in less than half of 300's box office haul, Legend of the Guardians less than that, and Sucker Punch was Snyder's lowest grossing film, period. But 300 was so strong, so entrenched in the minds of audiences and the suits at Warner Brothers, that they still handed Snyder their DC Cinematic Universe when it became clear Christopher Nolan was heading for the door. After all, 300 was one of the first comic book movies in this new wave to make it big at the box office that wasn't based on a well-known character. Furthermore, it utilized that comic's heavy stylization instead of leaving it on the page, as so many adaptations have done and continue to do. Now, Man of Steel was something of a return to form for Snyder, and hopefully he can keep the momentum going with 300: Rise of an Empire, a prequel and sequel that Snyder has co-written and co-produces, while giving his director's chair to Noam Murro. This is his second feature after Smart People? Well, the trailer looks good. And after Olympus Has Fallen, Gerard Butler has enjoyed a return to form as well, but he's not returning here. Lena Headey and Rodrigo Santoro do, and they're joined by newbie Sullivan Stapleton from TV Strike Back and Casino Royale's Eva Green. Hey, abs are abs, and whatever you guys are looking at on Headey and Green. I wonder if it's difficult to fight while holding your stomach in. Seriously, it's like all of ancient Greece is just one big Chippendales club, and I'm not exactly complaining. But all joking aside, although there was quite a bit of giggling in my theater, in many ways 300: Rise of an Empire is spectacular. I mean, wait until you see what they do with the Warner Brothers logo at the beginning of the movie. The beginning of this movie. So good. As I watched it unfold, not just the introduction, but those first battle sequences, I thought to myself, wow, Warner Brothers and Legendary are going to make so much money. If you thought 300 was good with its really wonderfully stylized visuals, right from Frank Miller's original comic book, then you just have to see 300: Rise of an Empire. Because not only does it continue that flawlessly, that kind of style that Zack Snyder pioneered, but it uses 3D to great effect. I would go so far as to not only recommend you see this movie in 3D, but to say that it's the only way you should see this movie. I don't think you would be cheating yourself out of the experience to not spend a few extra dollars to, I think, experience it as it's meant to be experienced. So, in what ways is it not spectacular? Well, I think that while this movie is wall-to-wall eye candy in every conceivable way, it's beauty with very little substance. I'm not going to say beauty and no substance, because I think there are some good lines here. There is some, interesting perspectives on ancient Greece and, warfare, and even to some degree democracy, believe it or not. But at the end of the day, it lags. The scenes where they're not fighting and they aren't employing the special effects in this visual style, it just doesn't. It's no Game of Thrones. It's I think there are other pictures like this, Roman sandal epics that do a better job with their dialogue scenes. In this movie, unfortunately, it lags there. It drags a little bit when they stop fighting. Now, of course, for me, luckily there were enough abs and pecs on display to hold my interest. But for my father, I went with my dad, which I have to warn you, there is a pretty outrageous sex scene in this movie, which made me be like, maybe I shouldn't have taken my dad to see this movie, at least not with me. But anyway, he fell asleep a few times because there's not as much Eva Green on display, sorry guys, as there are all the soldiers in Sparta and Athens. So he fell asleep a few times. When we left the movie, I was like, oh, what did you think? And he was like, oh, loved it, great movie. And I was like, how can you say you love a movie movie if you fell asleep during any part of it. And he was like, I don't know what to tell you. When I woke up, I still liked what I saw on screen. So I just wanted to pose this question to you guys, because this is an ongoing discussion with a very spirited discussion with my dad. Can you say a movie is great if you've fallen asleep during it? Does that, because I feel it automatically disqualifies you from calling the movie great because it put you to sleep. But my dad disagrees. So I'm curious to where you guys stand on this. But back to 300 Rise of an Empire, I just also want to touch on the performances. Sullivan Stapleton, he's good. He does a solid, pun intended job. But I think Gerard Butler had a little more going on there, a little more interesting in terms of his personality. But as I said, Sullivan Stapleton definitely gets the job done. But this is really more Eva Green's movie. She chews the scenery a little bit here, but I'm still a big fan, and I think she delivered. I think she was really good in the role. I'm not quite sure what her direction was. Maybe that's what they wanted her to do. And interestingly, while I thought she'd be very Wonder Woman in this film from the trailer, as I discussed in my trailer review, she actually ended up being much more Talia. And I'm talking about the Grant Morrison crazy lady version. So she really reminded me a lot of that character, the way it was depicted in the recent, Batman and Son runs, and going forward from that, and also what they did with Batman Incorporated, and that, the death of Damian Wayne, how Talia factored into that. Eva Green was channeling that 100%. If they ever bring Talia into this new universe, I think Eva Green, I hope, is still on their list. And I don't know why she's not on more people's casting lists. She was so good in Casino Royale. I don't understand why they didn't lead to more work. I know she was derailed a little bit by Dark Shadows, but she's so good here, and really interesting, and really very game. And if this movie and the upcoming Sin City 2 don't make her finally, an A-lister, or at least a B-pluster, nothing is going to do it for her. So we'll see. But I enjoyed her performance quite a bit, and it was nice to see both her and Lena Headey in battle. They both have really great action sequences, and they deliver. You weren't like, oh, isn't that nice? They let them play. They seem to earn their spot in the movie. So I would say, as I said, wall-to-wall eye candy, and don't expect anything else. And it really is some of the best eye candy I've ever seen. And that's what eye candy's for, looking at. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think of 300 Rise of an Empire? If you've seen the movie, leave your thoughts down below. And I hope you'll check out these other episodes right now.